Hi guys, in today's tutorial we're going to be painting a Genestealer Quartz Locus. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors Goblin Gaming, who sent me the box set out for review. If you check the description box down below, you'll find a direct link to their web store, and every time you purchase something using that link in the description box, it greatly helps my YouTube channel, so please use the link in the description box below. Okay guys, I'm going to be really honest here. This tutorial was speed painting, as it's Valentine's Day in the UK today, and I promised I'd be spending most of the day with my wife, so I painted this up in about 2 hours. So if you like, this is how to get a pleasing result on your miniatures, but painting in a relatively fast manner. This is not as long as my usual videos guys, it only goes on for about 15 minutes, but nevertheless, get comfortable, grab yourselves a nice hot drink or maybe an ice cold beer, and we'll get started with the tutorial. I'll start off by priming the miniature using Alclad 2's Lacquer Primer White. It's important to note that these are very harmful if inhaled, so please make sure you're well ventilated. Also, make sure that you're using a good quality airbrush that has PTFE solvent proof seals to protect your airbrush from damage using lacquer primers. Now I'm going to be using AK Interactive's dark tracks to pretty much base coat the whole of the miniature apart from the face. Now, it doesn't have to be dark tracks that you use. Any dark brown colour will be fantastic for this base coat that we're going to work on. We're going to be painting the cloak in a red colour, so the dark brown colour is going to be great to show shadows when we start placing down that red colour a little later on in the video. Now we're going to start laying down the red to really make that cloak start popping. We're going to use Vallejo Game Air Bloody Red. Now the key to this is to work at low PSI, so I'm working at about 15 PSI here guys. And I'm also making sure that I'm really close to the airbrush, and I'm only spraying small amounts of the bloody red colour at a time. I want to try and leave some of the brown tone behind in the recesses of the cloak, and then obviously on the top surface of all the folds of the cloak we're going to be hitting it with more red. The theme for this Genestealer cult miniatures that I've been painted is with muddy bases, so I'm going to keep with that theme with the Locus, and we're going to give the bottom third or the bottom fourth of the cloak a really nice subtle blend from the red to the earth colour by Vallejo. Now we're going to add more shading to the miniature using the Army Painter's purple tone. It's important to note that I've thinned down the purple tone with some of the Army Painter's quick shade mixing medium. This is to make sure that it goes on more smoothly on the miniature. Now we're going to create some highlights using Games Workshop's layer paint Wild Rider Red. And as you can see here, I'm just working on the very extreme top surfaces of all the creases of the folds. And here you can see what the Locus looks like after I've added some of those hard edge highlights with the Wild Rider Red. I also used some Ushabti bone on the very bottom of the cloak where the earth colour was. Now we're going to use Games Workshop base paint Rakkar Flesh that I've thinned down roughly 1:1 with water. The reason I do this is because the face is the most crucial part of the miniature, and you don't want to obscure any of that fantastic detail that's on the face. Now we're going to use the Army Painter's Greedy Gold, and I paint this in 2 thin layers on all of the areas that I want to be gold. This includes the haft of the weapon that he's holding in his hand, and also the standard on his back. Zandri dust is going to be base coated on all of the seals that are on this Locus. I'm not too sure if the purity seals, but if they are, I'm sure the Adeptus Mechanicus would have something to say about it. Now we're going to create some really nice texture using AK Interactive's wet grain mix. Here I'm being very careful not to get too much on the very bottom of the cloak, and I'm just going over the base with the wet mud mix, and it's so simple to use. This is, I really like it. At 250ml for about £9 in the UK, I find that this AK Interactive diorama wet mud is fantastic value for money. Now we're going to be washing the face of the Locus with purple tone. Again, it's thinned down with the Army Painter's quick shade mixing medium, and as you can see, it's given a really unnatural looking but still fleshy tone look to the miniature, and that's what we want to go for the Genestealer cults. We want it to look slightly unnatural. A shabty bone is going to be painted on all of the seals that are dotted around the cloak of the Locus. All of the silver metallics on the Locus are going to be painted with Vallejo Metal Colour Gunmetal Grey. The Army Painter's mid-brown is going to be washed onto all of the areas that were painted in gold. In my haste to film this tutorial, guys, there's a few things I forgot to film. I forgot to film myself painting the shoulder pauldrons of the Locus and also the green gems, so please forgive me for this. As I said, this was a really quick tutorial and I was really pushed for time, so sorry if it's not up to my usual standard, but I do hope you like it anyway. And if you do like it, please hit the like button, share it amongst friends, and don't forget to hit that little bell symbol to make sure that you are always getting updates on my latest videos, as I do get questions from time to time saying that they're not receiving notifications to say that my latest video has been uploaded. Lastly, I want to say a huge thank you once again to the guys over at Goblin Gaming who sent me the miniature out for review. Don't forget to use the description box below link if you are purchasing anything from Goblin Gaming, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.